We tend to think of our physical habits and our mental health as living in two totally separate worlds. But what if the way you sit, the way you stand, the way you move through your day, what if that's actually a map of your emotional past? We're about to explore this amazing bridge that connects our bodies directly to our minds.
Just take a second. Go on, think about it right now. When you get stressed out or anxious, where's it go? For so many of us, it's that instant tightening in the shoulders, right? Or maybe you clench your jaw without even realizing it, or you get that familiar knot deep in your stomach. We literally carry our stress.
And this isn't just some passing feeling. As expert Martin Warner puts it, this tension is way more than just discomfort. It becomes a physical pattern that actually shapes how we see ourselves and even how we relate to the people around us. It's this silent force running in the background of our lives, and that's exactly what we're going to unpack.
So, if the problem is living in both our minds and our bodies, where do we even start to find a solution? Well, traditionally, healing has taken two very different roads, each one focused on just one side of the problem.
Okay, so first up, you've got the body-first approach. This is the Alexander technique, or AT for short. It's a practice that's all about teaching you to become aware of those ingrained habitual patterns of tension. It's like unlearning all the tiny physical habits that cause strain, which leads to better posture and just moving more freely. Think of it as healing from the outside.
Then, on the complete other side of the spectrum, you've got a mind-first approach. Deep brain reorienting, or DBR, is a type of psychotherapy that goes way down into the brain to deal with the very roots of trauma and old attachment wounds. So this is healing from the inside out. You've got these two really powerful but totally separate ways of thinking about healing.
But what happens when you decide not to pick a path? What if you actually try to connect them? This is where things get really interesting. This is where the real aha moment happens, when you start using a physical technique to unlock a deep psychological process.
It sounds like a huge leap, right? One's about your posture, and the other is about these really deep-seated traumas. How on earth could you build a bridge between those two things? Well, it turns out the process is incredibly thoughtful and deliberate.
The work from Martin Warner lays out this brilliant three-step process. First, you start with the basic principles of the Alexander technique, that deep awareness of physical tension. Then, those ideas are adapted into these little things called AT interweaves. You can think of them like tiny, targeted physical awareness exercises. And finally, a therapist uses these physical interweaves right in the middle of a DBR therapy session. It's a way of using the body to kind of open a door to help access and heal the mind.
And what you get isn't just some small adjustment to therapy as we know it. No, this integration creates a whole new therapeutic tool, and it's one that can lead to some really profound changes for people.
So what does this actually do for someone? Well, it helps people clear out what the source material calls physical bracing and armoring. That deep unconscious tension we carry around like a suit of armor. When that starts to go, people can experience just incredible growth and change. Their whole experience of communication can shift, and it can totally transform their relationship not just with others, but with themselves. This is so much bigger than just fixing your posture. It's about changing how you fundamentally exist in the world.
All right, so let's zoom out of the therapy room for a second. What's the big takeaway here for all of us? It really comes down to a simple but incredibly powerful truth about how we're all wired.
Here's the most important point. You simply can't treat the mind and the body like they're two different things. They are one single interconnected system. Real, lasting healing almost always requires us to see how our physical patterns and our psychological state are in a constant, looping conversation with each other. And that really leaves us with a final thought to chew on. The next time you feel that familiar tension creep into your shoulders or you catch yourself slouching at your desk, don't just brush it off as a bad habit. Ask yourself, what story is my body trying to tell me right now? Because what if releasing that physical tension is actually the first step toward a much deeper kind of healing? What if changing your posture could actually, truly change your life?